We're afraid of what people will think, or we're afraid we're not good enough, or we're afraid we're too much. And so we hold ourselves back. When we do that, we're muting ourselves. And there are too many people that are muting themselves in the world. And I, for so many years, was one of them. I've discovered the power of unmuting myself, of showing up in the world in a way that is joyfully expressed and boldly alive. That's something that has been so important to me as I've discovered how freeing it is to be unmuted, to unmute our body and to unmute our ideas and to unmute our desires, to unmute ourselves in relationships and at work, and to be our own advocates and to ask for what we want and need. The unmuted life is a life that is fully alive and fully expressed and confident and clear. And to me, it's the only way that I know how to live now. I know what it's like to feel confined and stuck and small and silenced. And I also know what it feels like to be expressed and alive and joyful and present and seen. And it's so much better of a life to be unmuted. And that is what I want to bring you into. Are you ready to unmute yourself? Let's make it happen. Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to Unmute Yourself. It's so awesome to see all of you here. Chris, thank you for the intro. Is fire. Yeah, we can give Daniel Hall a shout out for that. Daniel Hall is just so beyond talented. And Zach, Zach says never get tired of that video intro. I don't either. Every time I'm like, this is like my first time watching it. Like what a true talent that Daniel is to just take a vision. You know, isn't it amazing when someone can take a vision of something we have and they can bring it to life, and then we're like, how did you do that? Like, we're just mesmerized. That's how I feel every time that I watch that. So welcome. And Dan, the video was Daniel Hall's doing. So welcome to Dan Roth and Chris Hennessy and Tom Malingo and Sheikh Hussein. Welcome. Susan Brayenton is here. Maureen Fitzgerald, Travis Lochner, Robert Box, Toby Kester, Jason Hurley. This is going to be, I'm like about to jump out of my skin excited for today's show. Our guest is one of my favorite people, and I'll give an intro to her in just a moment. So let us know, drop in the comments where you're joining us from. I'm in Baltimore, Maryland on the East Coast, and we're having a beautiful day. It's gonna be like 70 degrees here today, which finally, after having snow squalls like 2 weeks ago. So I'm so ready for this. And so, yeah, let us know in the comments where you're joining us from. We added a stream to Facebook, by the way. So we're streaming on Facebook, on my Unmuted LLC page, on my YouTube channel, and here on LinkedIn. So just a couple of just reminders and updates that I have a LinkedIn newsletter that I publish every other week on here. There's a new issue coming out this week, and it's called Unmute Yourself. And so we're dropping a link to that in the comments if you want to subscribe. There's already over 8,000 of you that have subscribed to that. And so thank you for those of you who already have. Let us know if you have in the comments. And by the way, I'm checking out the representation here. Balmy 50 degrees in New Jersey, Dallas, Texas, Tempe, Arizona, Colorado in the house, Travis, Dallas, DeSoto, Texas. Texas is representing today. Maryland, shout out fellow Marylander. Denver, there we go. Representation from Colorado. Excellent. So before I introduce my guest, I want to share one more thing with you that I'm so excited about. So most of the work that I do is directly with organizations. So I'm a speaker, a facilitator, and a trainer. And usually organizations or associations bring me in to work with their leaders and teams to help them to be more resilient and connected and compassionate and engaged. And so I've been doing that a lot virtually, getting back to doing it in person as well, which has been a lot of fun. So if you know anyone that's looking to energize, motivate, or engage their leaders or teams virtually or in person, let me know. I've done this 300 times virtually in the past 2 years. It's been a lot. And usually those classes are not open to anybody in the public. So kind of the only way you can get a public dose of me is coming to something like this or following me on social media. But I am going to be working with, as one of the instructors, new instructors with Simon Sinek's company. And so I'm doing a session called Speak Up, Be Your Own Advocate in the Workplace. And the first session of that, there's a fee for it, but it's a virtual class that's going to be on May 5th, on Cinco de Mayo. So we've got a link to that in I Only King Says Promise a Song. Dan will get you a song today. So if you want to sign up for that, if you want to learn how to use your voice, how to advocate for yourself at work, how to advance your career, how to build your confidence, there's a link to that in the comments, and you can click on that and learn more about that class. And that's an individual class that anyone is invited to come to. So yeah, awesome, right, Toby? I'm so excited. I'm so excited. My friend Kristen Hadid got me connected to Simon Sinek's company. So super, super grateful. So are you ready for our guest? Get ready. Oh my gosh. Our guest today, for over 2 decades, she's an award-winning voice and speech teacher, and she's been helping actors, performers, corporate executives, authors, and speakers use their voices to connect with audiences around the world with power, eloquence, and heart. Her name is Darcy Webb, and I met her 3 years ago when I was going through a professional speaker training called Heroic Public Speaking. And I knew that I wanted to be a speaker, and I had been speaking in some capacity. My first paid speaking gig was in 2009 when I spoke at my alma mater for $75 to a human resources master's class about workplace well-being. And I knew the more I spoke, the more I was like, I just want to do this. I don't want to do anything else. I want to do consulting. I just want to speak and train. So I went and signed up for this program. It was a significant investment, and it was 6 months of my life. And one of the greatest gifts I got from this experience was meeting the lovely Darcy Webb. And I'm going to share a story once we get talking. I'm going to share a story about something really magical that happened. That was a transformational moment for me that Darcy was a catalyst for. But before I do that, let's just bring her on stage. Let's give her a warm welcome. Darcy Webb, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rachel. And thank you for having me. I'm honored to be on your show today. It's an honor.
Oh.
It's wonderful. And I can't wait till you share your story because it is pretty extraordinary. And that is in large credit due to you, what happened to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, we'll talk about more about that when you share your story. But it was no, let's talk about it now. Come on, let's talk about it now. It was totally magical. Rachel was there in the studio, and I had worked with a few people. Rachel was there in the studio, and Rachel was trying to sing a song, and she was concerned about the note, if I remember correctly. You just couldn't hit the note. And you were singing something kind of inspirational.
Yeah.
And I said to you, Rachel, what are you trying to say? Yeah. Just say it. Just sing it. And she cried a little bit, and then she opened up her mouth, and this sound came out like gangbusters. And it was, and I think everyone in that studio who witnessed that thought that it was holy. That experience was holy because we heard the voice that was inside you that was so small, and all you did was open your mouth and allow it to come out. And it was a gift to every single person sitting there. It was extraordinary, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember what I was wearing. I remember, well, because here's what happened. And if you were so I was on this guy, Trevor Houston, who's on here. He's an awesome dude. And I was on his show a couple weeks ago, and I was sharing part of this story with his audience. And I want to make sure I share it with all of you today. And by the way, oh my gosh, so glad, Carl, so good to have you here, and Jill, and just amazing. So what happened was when I signed up for this program, I was telling a story. And Carl, thanks for your support. I was sharing the story about how I found my voice in gospel choir, how I got unmuted. I loved singing my whole life, but I wouldn't do it in front of anybody because, it's like, singing is so vulnerable, right? It's like,
yeah, like, that's it.
Let me open my mouth and let my soul pour out and hope no one judges me.
That's right. It's almost like taking your clothes off in public. If you're doing it right, it is, you do feel bare.
Yes. And like exposed. You feel exposed. You're like, I'm opening myself up for critique. And you know, if you watch enough American Idol, you're like, well, geez, people can be really harsh. Like,
Right. That's right.
people are not always forgiving, you know. And so at the last minute, I was working with my writing coach, AJ Harper, and I was like, should I sing when I tell the story of how I found my voice in gospel choir, how I came back, um, Carl, how I came back from a semester abroad in Spain, and how I decided that I was going to try out for a gospel choir solo. I'd been in the choir because there were no tryouts, because the idea of trying out, auditioning was like, forget that. I will not put myself in that kind of a vulnerable position. Like, you know, I was like, I'm not going to audition. And so I came back from Spain, had a new lease on life, was in the chapel. It was a February in 2005, Thursday evening, I think. And I waited until everybody left the chapel. And it was just this huge open chapel. And it was me, Eric Bird, who's the director, and Carl Taylor, who was the assistant director. Because I was like, the minimum number of people need to hear me do this. Like, there were 80 people in choir, and none of them needed to hear this. So I was like, I felt, you know, when you feel that stirring in you where you're like, I'm supposed to do something. I really feel like I want to act, but I'm scared. But I really feel I want to act, but I'm scared. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I went up to him. Instead of walking out, I went up to Eric and I said, I want to try out for a solo. And to him, that's like a non-event, right? He's like a jazz singer. He's traveled all over the world. Like, try for a solo, like, no big deal, right? And so let's just recreate the moment. Let's do it. So he goes, okay. So he sits down at the piano and he sends me to the microphone. And I closed my eyes. And I pulled in everything that was inside of me that I had just kept muted and silenced and shut down for so long. And I opened my mouth and I said, this morning when I rose, yeah, I didn't have no doubt. This morning when I rose, yeah, I didn't have no doubt. This morning when I rose, yeah, I didn't have no doubt. This morning when I rose, yeah, I didn't have no doubt.
There it is.
And so that, but I didn't sing it like that the first time. The first time I sang it, I was a bit more guarded. And I remember I stopped, you were helping, coaching us. So I told the story and then I sang the part, right? And I wasn't in my bones, you know, as a singer, you know, when you're in your bones, I was not in my bones. I was in my head. Mm-hmm. And you said, so what's with the singing thing? Like, what's, and I said, oh, I feel like I'm holding myself back. I said, I feel like I'm holding myself back. And she said, yes, you are. He said, yes, you are. And goosebumps, y'all are just so kind. So I said, I feel like I'm holding myself back. She says, yes, you are. And then you said, what's the lyric again? And I said, this morning when I rose, I didn't have no doubt. And you just stood there and you said, and what does that mean to you? And I was like, undone.
Yes, you were undone.
And I started getting teary-eyed and you said, that's what we want. She said, go back. You said, because I'm always telling the story as if you're not here and you're with me and this is so magical. You said, now get back over there and sing. You said, my voice teacher, Patty Rain, what's her name?
Patty Rain.
Patty Rain. My voice teacher, Patty Rain, always told me, forget the notes, sing the intention.
Sing the intention. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then what you said next was equally powerful and transformational. You said, you go back over there. We have your back. I have your back. You just sing. Like that feeling of being so held and supported.
Mm-hmm. We all need that. We all need that. It's one of the things that I love so much about being a coach is being able to do that for others. I have that for myself. I have someone it's like they're standing under me, holding up my wings to help me get where I need to be, to help me get where I want to be. And it is such an honor to be able to do that for other people. It is such an honor. Every time I have 7, 8, often 9 clients a week, one-on-one, and to be able to stand there with them, for them, and be able to help them express their joy, help them express their truth,
Yeah.
help them take that cork out.
Uncorked, unmuted. Here we
Uncorked.
are.
Gotta take that. You gotta take that cork out. And I don't know, Rachel, why were you muted? Or why did you, what I say is you got a cork in it. Why did
Yeah.
you have that cork? Do you know where that came from?
I think part of it was that growing up, I didn't feel like I fit in socially already. Like I went Catholic school for 12 years, was never Catholic. Like always a certain part of me always felt a little different than my peers. And I feel like I struggled to just like I was very academically focused, and I felt like I didn't want to do anything else to further compromise my social standing. I don't know,
Yeah.
like as
Yeah.
I think about it, I think that might have been part of it of like, and I had a certain reputation of like I was a quiet good girl.
Yeah.
Who followed the rules and was expected, and vulnerability was not, I mean, it's not a word that like elementary schoolers think about, but I was not willing to be vulnerable with just about anybody in any area of my life. I was very guarded. I was a very guarded version of myself, which people now hear and they're like, oh my gosh, you like share things so freely. Like, yeah, with lots of therapy and coaching and
Right.
work and
Right.
like,
It's hard work.
it's a lot to get here. So I really think for me, that was a lot of it. Is it felt too exposing. It felt too vulnerable. It felt like I already feel like I'm sort of skating on thin ice, and I can't do anything to compromise my position further. And so I'm just going to let this be the thing that I do by myself in this room in my house with the door shut with headphones on so that nobody else can hear me. But I'm not going to put it on public display. And I wasn't a performer. I was very uncomfortable. I was very uncomfortable performing. The idea of performing in front of people was like, that is for somebody else and not for me. So, and Toby says, you're talking about God for me. So like, you know, where I'm a child every day. I remember he has my back and everything else. I have to help others understand he's got their back too. And so part of it, I mean, that lyric, this was a gospel choir, you know what I mean? So this was as much a spiritual like journey for me too, of going through and singing these lyrics, you know, that I'm like, do you believe what you're saying?
Yep.
Like, I didn't have no doubt. How would you sing if you didn't have no doubt?
That that's right. So a lot of, yeah, and I think that it is unmuting yourself, taking that cork out you're right. It takes a lot of work, and it takes mindfulness, and it takes, I think for me, it certainly took looking back, because every time you talk about unmuting, every time you talk about that, I think about myself as a little girl in my living room. All of my siblings were older, and they were a big sports family. So the TV was always on, and there were always sports playing, and there was a lot of noise, and I was a little girl, and I was often getting lost in the shuffle, and they didn't really think about it. If I had a buck for every time somebody said, "Get out of the way. You're standing in front of the TV. Stop being so melodramatic. You're too loud. You're like a bull in a china shop." I'd be a millionaire if I had a buck for every time somebody said something like that to me. So I was raised to be, and I'm older than you are. So one of the ways I was raised was to be a lady. So you crossed your feet at your ankles, you wore little white gloves, you didn't take the last cookie on the plate, and all of that was terribly stifling. It was just awful. And it took many, many years of performing and therapy and making mistakes and crying.
So many tears and tissues.
So many tears. So, and finally, just letting go. It really just allowing myself to be me and accepting that. I mean, what you do is, Rachel, is unique. what I do is unique, and we have to, we have to accept our uniqueness. And some people, and not everyone will like it.
Yeah.
Not everybody will like it. Some people will say, "Oh, she's weird."
Yeah.
People think I'm weird. My children think I'm crazy.
Drop in the chat if your kids think you're crazy. Drop in the
Yes, I
chat.
really I need to know this, people.
Everybody.
Because I am so, people like you and me are extra.
Mm,
We are considered extra. My
yeah.
students used to say that. My university students, when I taught at university, they would say, "Oh, Darcy, you're just extra."
Mm,
But really what it is being unmuted.
yeah.
It's joy. It's just
Yes.
joy, right?
When I felt that from you instantly, like I remember seeing you on stage for the first time. There, we were doing this master class, and you were coaching somebody on something vocally. And I remember like there was this exuberance and this joyfulness about you that
Mhm.
was like palpable. Oh, Corinne. Corinne is a performer. So Corinne is a former
Every
coworker
day.
of mine. She's a singer. She's done theater. She definitely, she's like every day people tell me I'm extra. Like, so I'm so glad you're here, Corinne, and Daniela, same, and Joy. Yeah, and Zach. That's the thing, and like we're told to kind of tamp it down. So I'm curious though, how did you go from? Because people could look on the surface and be like, not a logical step to go from a place of feeling like you're in the way, you're too much, kind of like be quiet, to
Yeah.
now being somebody who helps people to more joyfully and fully express themselves. I mean, like, get like, what was that bridge?
Years ago, there was this book called What Color Is Your Parachute?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
They're still printing it. I mean, I I
yeah.
I
Dick
read this
Bowles.
book 40 years ago, and I would take the test, and it would come up the same every time. You need to be a teacher. And I think, I'm not being a teacher. I'm going to be a performer. And so I would go to the auditions and I would learn I would get roles. And then I would go to more auditions and I'd get lots of rejections. And then I'd feel despondent. And then I'd look for a job doing something else. And then I'd take the test. What color is your parachute? I think I've taken this in my lifetime 3 different times. Every single time it kept coming up as a teacher. One day, my husband said to me, this was about 23 or 24 years ago. He was the head of the musical theater program at the University of the Arts in Philadelphia. And he said, "Hey, Gene Caruso, who happened to be the chairman at the time, is looking for a voice and speech teacher." And I had always excelled in voice and speech. He said, "Do you want to take the gig? It's just one class." And I said, "Okay, sure." It was like, I remember the feeling. It was as if I said, "Yes, just release and say yes. Stop saying no. That's not for me." It was a giving in. It was as if the universe was saying one more time, "Pay attention."
Yeah.
And I taught that one class for a year. I had 12 students in one section, and they loved it so much, and I got such high assessment marks that they brought me back to teach 4 sections, and I did that for 20 years. That was how I made the bridge. And in that 20-year period, I got better and better and better as a teacher, as a mentor, and as a coach. And I love it. It is I never dreamed I would be saying that this would be my life's work, but it is.
Yeah, but it is. And it's interesting, right? How something like it's easier for us to just say no to stuff, right? It's like, well, I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
sure. That's a risk, right? It's a risk. And there's a book I'm reading actually right now that I highly recommend people check out. I love Dan Pink's work. It's called The
Yep.
Power of Regret.
Mm.
How looking backward moves us forward. And, he talks about these different regrets that we have. And one of the primary forms of regret, there's 4 different forms of regret. And one of the primary forms of regret are regrets of boldness.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, yes, yes.
And like that's what you're talking about. Is
Yep.
like, would you do this thing? I mean, you could have been like, oh, I've never done that thing before. I don't know. Am I qualified? Like
Yeah, right.
that.
Am I qualified? Right? So it was a lesson. I just keep saying yes.
Yeah,
Sometimes I say no if I think that it's not really going to suit me or serve me, but I
sure.
I say yes. And I think that I have a lot of regrets for not being bolder,
Mm.
and I won't let that happen anymore.
Is there anything
I
else you
just
want to
won't.
say about that? I'm curious. If you want to, you can. If not,
Well, uh, um, I mean, I can't think of any off the top of my head right now, but I can tell you that I have regretted not being bolder, not being, yeah, just not being more courageous.
yeah.
I watched a woman, one of my clients last week, take a huge step and she did a keynote for several thousand people and she blew them out of the water. And it was the first time she'd stood in front of an audience that big. And I thought, wow, good for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, so great to see that. Like,
It's
and
inspirational. Yeah.
probably motivates you to keep doing it, right? When you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do. It's almost like this compulsion, right? When you see the impact, of that, it's like this compulsion of like I have to. And Daniel, yeah, Daniel's comment, that burning
Mhm.
question, am I qualified, has a way of
Mhm.
muting us. A lot of people ask the question and they pre-disqualify themselves, right? Instead of pre-qualify, like
Yeah.
we pre-disqualify ourselves. We're like, here's
Yeah.
why I shouldn't be doing
Yeah.
that.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
Hire somebody who knows how to do that. Yeah.
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 Like, well, how do you think they figured out how to do it? At one point, they did not know how to do it too, right? And then they
Right.
figured it out and they said yes at some point.
Yeah.
Like, so what do you see most commonly? I'm curious. Like, I know in my own experience, one of the things you really helped me with, especially as like women, we have this tendency to talk up here and to talk really high. And I
Uh-huh.
know there was something we did, this practice called like hudda hudda hudda. Like it's
Mhm.
if y'all want to like learn something, if you want to like get out of your seats if you're sitting down,
I'm
if you
ready. I'm totally ready to show you this. Yeah, what happens is we'll put on a voice. We think we have to modulate our voice instead of using our authentic voice. And a lot of times what I'm doing is helping people find that true voice. My mother used to when she would meet people, because she was very very much she wanted to always look proper and appropriate, and whenever I would introduce her to my friends she would say, "Oh, hello, it's so nice to meet you, Darcy's told me so much about you." And I'd think, because an hour before she was saying, "Would you go up there and clean that mess out of your room?" I've had it with that. Now that is an authentic voice, right? What
yeah.
is this? And people will do it all the time. Sometimes they want to sound more, uh, they have gravitas. People
Yes.
come to me and they talk about how they want more gravitas in their voice. No, they don't. They just want to be able to speak authentically.
Yes.
So we have to figure out ways. There are mechanical ways of getting that voice to come up and out. You didn't need a mechanical way. You just needed somebody to say, "It's okay. Go ahead and do it." But some people actually just need the mechanics.
Mm.
I can show you this. Should I do it for
Whenever
you?
you want to. Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Well, come on. Sure. Let's play. People stand up. You have to
yeah,
stand up.
everybody stand up. Corinne
Everybody
goes, people
stand up.
still make fun of my customer service voice and they say, that's not you.
Oh, no, that's not you. Turn the lights on. Can you all see me here?
Yeah.
So what you want to do is you want to take this front-facing warrior position. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of squatting. Yeah, Rachel's doing. So I'm doing kind of like a deep plie. And then you're going to put your arms up and you're going to make goalposts like so. And you're going to put your fingers in the yoga mudra position and make your hands face them. And then you're going to pull in your navel as you say the word hutta. And then you're going to let the breath snap in. Hutta, 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 hutta. But you have to smile when you do it because we want to generate joy. So not hutta, hutta, but hutta, 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 hutta. Do it with me. Hutta, 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 hutta. So if you can do that for about 30 seconds, you'll get that voice up.
Yeah, drop in the chat if you did it. In the comments, we want to know. We want to celebrate those of you that did that. Drop in the comments if you did it. Say, did it. Or
Nobody did
like,
it.
I will do it. Sorry, my computer did something weird while that was happening. Maureen goes, I love this. It's such a fun thing to do. It's like a really great way to get grounded because it's like
Mhm.
voice is embodied. Tell us more about what that means to you,
Yeah.
voice being embodied.
I really think of when we are speaking, my dogs just ran down to the basement office to see what was going on. Zach, this happens a lot with my clients. The dogs come running. Um, I think of um, the body as the instrument. I don't think of just the voice. The voice that so we have these vocal folds in here, and they're like the strings of a cello. And if we could just hear the vocal folds, we'd be going, that's what it would sound like. But our body is the case of the cello, and it acts as a resonator. So we're resonating here, and we're also resonating in our, and Rachel, you know this from studying singing, you're using your nasal passages and your sinuses and the bones in your face and your head as resonators too. But the other thing that we're doing when we speak, and you'll notice I'm not very still when I'm in front of a camera, and I don't think I really need to be. I don't think people need to be. We speak with our hands. We gesture. We move forward when we're feeling excitement. We tilt our head. We move our legs. We move our arms. We open our arms to the universe. We open our arms to the energy that we're getting from the audience. And so I don't ever use just my voice anymore.
Yeah, it's so, and I think that's what a lot of it, especially for anybody that does sing or perform in any way, it's so easy to get just so stuck in your head and to think
Your
that
head.
like your voice stops here. It's like my vocal cords in my head. No, like you have to sync. I think that's one of the things I experienced from you was like really getting into it because when I first sang that song, I'd sing it almost like from like my chest and my head,
Mhm.
and then I sang it from like my bones.
Your
It's like
bones,
when
your
you,
feet, it's coming up
oh
from the ground. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
it's like like electricity. It's like running through you, and you're like, I have to release this. And
Mhm.
it's so empowering.
And whether you're singing or whether you're speaking or whether you're doing a podcast, right now the energy is coming up from the earth through your legs and out this way.
Yeah.
And so when I come on, before I meet my clients, before I do something like this, I always warm up
Mm-hmm.
because I want that energy moving.
Yeah.
It isn't just about warming up my voice. It's about warming up my whole instrument.
Yes. Yes, and people don't realize like I know the first so Darcy was kind enough to connect me to a friend of hers who specifically does voice coaching for singers specifically, and so I've been working with her with Mary Ellen Kennedy for the past year, and I think of you like every time because she's like, remember the Zuo shawl ladder, like this ladder going through every body part, and it has a certain sound associated with it.
Good.
And, we spend the first 20 minutes of every lesson stretching our ribs, like, doing all these things like expanding, stretching our neck, warming up the voice with doing different like vocal trills or things with this fun little straw. I always have a silicone straw and a little cup with a lid on it to warm up, to like just gently kind of massage and move my vocal cords. And
Mhm.
the singing starts like 20 to 25 minutes in.
Yeah, that's right.
Like,
Because you're not ready to do that until your instrument is ready.
yeah.
Does your audience know what you're talking about when you say you warm up with your straw?
No, but we could teach them. I've mentioned it maybe one time briefly on one of these things. Maybe. Oh, Anita is here
Hello,
from
Anita.
HBS. Oh my gosh. Hi, Anita.
Hello,
Oh,
hello, Anita.
so
We're
good to
gonna do
see
the
you.
straw warm up. You're just in
Yes,
time.
just in time.
So here is the straw. I carry a silicone straw around, and we like silicone, right?
Yep.
And you want to take a glass and you want to fill it about 3/4 full. Now, this exercise is all over the internet. This is not unusual. And you put this in your glass. This is really good, isn't it, Rachel? If you're sick,
And
if you're sick
froggy. If you feel
and
like you're frog and your
froggy,
voice keeps catching and you just want it to sound
yeah.
smooth. And yeah.
So you put that straw and you want to make sure that you don't have the straw at the, thank you very much, Tim, at the, like, stuck on the bottom, that you're holding it up a little bit, like leaving a little space between the straw and the bottom of the glass, and you're going to blow. And you're going to, yeah. Remember how you weren't allowed to do this at the dinner table? And you want to keep those bubbles consistent, and you want to make sure that they don't splash. And you want to do it as long as you can do it. And you will hear, keep doing that, Rachel. You will hear Rachel. She's actually humming into her straw. Once you just blow, not humming, until you can't blow anymore, and then you take another breath, and then you blow again, you want to hum the second time. You can hum the Star Spangled Banner. Until you finish the Star Spangled Banner. And then when you're done, you will find just that little bit, I find it's already easier to speak.
Yeah.
So this is a great warm-up exercise, but it's especially good if you don't feel well.
Yeah.
To do this.
That's great. Drop in the comments if that was valuable to you. If you're like, I'm gonna straw it. I don't know if there's a name. It's
the straw.
Seriously the straw. You'd be like, I'm gonna do the straw. It's a game changer. Every day. I have like 4 of these. I travel with them. I bring them with me to every event. Every time before I speak, every time before I sing, I do that for several minutes. And I find that it's like, my voice just feels so clear and so pure. And I feel like I can, hit notes and it feels more effortless. It's just like, it's just such a wonderful thing that gives us, again, more confidence in our speaking too, because we feel more connected to like the whole instrument. Yeah, Corinne, oh my gosh. Take it to chorus. They're going to love it.
Yes.
You're going to change their lives, Corinne.
I don't know what you're doing to warm up articulation wise, but one of the things that I think is really useful are exercises that pay attention to how your tongue moves, so that you have some ease in your tongues, because that's where a lot of people get hung up, is their tongue. They think they're tongue tied. They're not. They just have some tension in their tongue. So are you doing things like that? Are you doing anything to
like when you have it like out, like that?
Like
that? That's what again?
A flabby tongue.
A flabby tongue.
Yeah. I mean, you really have to not care at all about what people think about you to do this exercise in front of a camera. But what I'm doing is I'm actually hanging my tongue out over my lower lip.
Yeah.
Like this. And releasing the sides of the tongue. And what I'm doing is releasing the muscles in the tongue, which run down the sides of the throat. And that's where your vocal folds are. So you're actually relaxing all of this. When you release the muscles in the tongue can move a little forward, and if you've got tongue tension, you're retracting it and you're partially impeding that vocal passageway. So that exercise will actually release the tension in the tongue.
The tension in the tongue. Say that 10 times.
It's my favorite exercise ever.
It's the best. So I'm curious. So one of the things I wanted to do, so by the way, if you have any questions for Darcy too, we're getting some claps and other things from people. So glad that you're here. Again, just want to reset for anyone who maybe has come in late. I'm talking with Darcy Webb, who is the speech diva, vocal coach extraordinaire, who works with entrepreneurs and executives and speakers and authors, and really helps them to find the authenticity and power and eloquence and emotion in their voice. So, which I mean, totally connects with being unmuted. It's like this was like too connected to not have you. I mean, like of all the people that I could have on this show, I feel like in a short list of like the top three, I feel like, well, obviously Darcy.
Well, thank you.
Like obviously, and Toby commented. She said that's why I feel better after whistling. I'm forcing tongue movement and then releasing it. How cool!
I can't whistle anymore. I'm going to have to work on that, Toby.
I can't whistle. I've never been able to whistle. You sort of.
Sort of, kind of, but I used to be really good at it. And then I got my teeth straightened, and then it wasn't so good.
Darn it. Darn it, teeth straightening. So I'm curious, what do you see when you see people that are coming to you? What are the ways that they're muting themselves the most? That you feel like, are there any themes that you're noticing? Any transformations, even if it's like obviously without naming names or whatever, if there's any like stories of transformation that stand out to you? I'm just curious about what
Yes.
comes up.
There are always transformations. I think people don't realize that they're muted. I think they just realize that they feel like they can't speak. I had one student say to me, I was always told I couldn't talk, that I didn't know how to talk. I said, you speak beautifully. So a lot of the work that I do is mechanical. Let's just say that it's mechanical, right? I have a whole slew of exercises. I would say the work I do is about 80% mechanical and 20% psychological. Now, I don't do the psychological work. The client or the student does. But the stuff comes up once the mechanics start to kick in.
Yeah.
So what can come up is, I didn't know I was allowed to be extra. Oh, I didn't know I could make that sound. Oh, I get a lot of people who had speech therapy as a child and will say, oh, I had trouble with my R's. I can't say my R's. And I say, yes, you can. Here's a recording of you saying R's. And let me show you where your tongue is when you make the R. Oh, look, you're doing that already. So a lot of it is affirming what they already know and then helping them to tap into their authentic voice.
It's like permission. It's like that's where I see like the power of a really good coach. Like just the fact that you, and we'll come to Toby, your question in a moment, but like just the fact that you knew to ask me the question that you did. And it's not like you pre-planned to ask that question. It's what came to you intuitively in the moment, is to say, what does that lyric mean to you? That like, that was the thing that unlocked the emotion in me, because I wasn't thinking about the lyric. I was focused on the mechanics, the technicalities of how I was sounding. And I wasn't focusing on the emotion of how I was feeling or how I wanted other people to feel. And when I connected to the emotion, this morning when I rose, I didn't have no doubt. You got to sing that like you mean it, Rachel. And that was the thing that changed for me. So I think that's the power of a really good coach. Like, I've now hired coaches in like multiple areas of my life and business because I want to get better. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if you weren't in that room. And I just went through, I did the song. People would have been like, great job, Rachel. Great job.
It was fine.
But
the first time, right?
You helped it like, it was like another layer. They were like, you like pulled off 10 layers of the onion in one pass. And it was just freedom. Like for me, that's, if I could describe what it felt like freedom. I look back, I have the video of this. I'll share it with you all too. It's on my YouTube channel. I have a video of this interaction if you guys want to see it. And I looked like I was having an almost like an out of body experience, because I watched myself when I finished singing, and it was almost like I had woken up from something.
Yes, that's right. You did. I should go back and watch that video.
We should. I know. We should. I'm gonna share it. The tricky thing with StreamYard is it doesn't let you do it very readily, but we'll share it in the comments. We'll put it in the comments.
Can I answer your question, Toby? Do you think there are people who don't mind being in a state of being muted? I think there are people who are naturally quiet, who don't think of themselves as being muted. I don't think everybody has. I'm thinking of one person in particular. It's my daughter-in-law. She is very quiet. She's not muted.
Mm.
She's just, she'll talk when she has something to say. And when she does, oh my goodness, it's always funny or always profound. So I think that has taken me a long time to learn to be comfortable with somebody who's quiet. Now there are introverts who can be very who can bring it,
Mhm.
but then they have to go away and they have to, reset themselves. But there are some people who are just naturally quiet.
Yeah. And it's not saying to not be someone you are. It's just like, what does it look like for you to be your most authentic?
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that you have to be like super loud or that you like
Yeah.
have to be extra.
Yeah.
Right. So I
Yeah.
think that's an important distinction that you made,
She's
Toby.
very tolerant of me, my daughter-in-law. I love her.
Yeah. We have people like that. We need people like that that are just like, yeah, that's you. And you're like, yeah, that's me.
That's me.
And
Sorry.
like, it's just, and Daniel says, until I met Brian Schulman. So Brian Schulman and Nancy Barrows have both been guests on the show. And he said, before I met them, I felt so muted. Then your show was a huge eye opener. He's the one that designed the intro video, Daniel.
Oh, it's beautiful. I wept. I was sitting there. I thought, Rachel is a minister, is she not? People, she is ministering to us all. Thank you.
Oh,
For
and
doing
like you are forever part of my journey. I was telling you before. I haven't announced this publicly to this group. I hinted at it at a LinkedIn post recently, but I'm working on a book that will be out next year. And I said, I'm like, Darcy, our story is going to be in that book because our story was such a powerful moment of what happens when we have people that have our back. Because people having our back gives us courage. Like that's one of the things I've come to realize is when
Yeah.
you feel like people have your back, you become you borrow their courage.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Well,
empowering.
I'm thinking about your support that you have just to put this out. You've got these people have you,
Yeah.
right? It's exciting. Thank
I
you, Tim.
I feel that. I feel that way, Tim. You're hilarious. Breaking news.
Yeah, and I
like
think we all need people like that. We need coaches, and we need our technical support, and we need therapy, and we
yeah,
need we need spirituality. We need all of those things to get us through
yeah,
and to help us find the joy.
yes. And to be authentic, because
And
those are
yeah,
representations of different parts of us. And it's
yeah,
like when you're when we're showing up like partially ourselves, there's not freedom in that. When we show up like
no,
when we show up and we do the thing, like I would think to myself, even in that room with you and what a dozen other people that were in the class that day, in like that in our particular little mini session, um, I also thought back to a little girl who hid her joy, like
hmm
who, and I remember you said to me, one of the things that really resonated is you said to me like something to the effect of, I really get you. Like I understand this. Like I've been
I've been
there.
there.
Yeah.
hmm I've been there.
And like that helped me too. Cause I'm like, here's this person who's like teaching people how to like come out of that. And you're like, oh no, but and I've also been there. And there's a perception people have that like somebody who shows up as confident, somebody who shows up as put together, somebody who shows up as on top of it, somebody who shows up as comfortable expressing themselves or comfortable being vulnerable, there's often this assumption that they've like always been that way.
Yeah, no, we teach what we have to learn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we teach what we have to learn. Yes, we do. And like I'm wondering, one of the one of the practices, one of the ways I think we can unmute ourselves and connect to joy, which are two things we've been talking about today, is by connecting to gratitude. And I'm curious, we did this last time. And so if whoever's with
Mm.
us, drop in the comments, and I'm going to ask Darcy to share. there's a practice called 3 good things. So when we connect to these three good things on a daily, ideally this is a daily practice. 3 good things that have happened in our lives in the past, usually 24 hours, but we're coming off a weekend, so we'll say past 48. So 3 good things. Drop in the comments. And Darcy, I'm curious. Like I'll share one first, and then I'm gonna hear your 3. Bill and I, there's this book we use called the Adventure Challenge. It's this game I found out about. Have you heard of this?
No, but I saw your post about that. I thought that looked like fun.
It's so fun. There's a book and there's a little scratch off, and there's these different date ideas, like 50 different dates or something like that. And so we scratch it off, and it tells you how long it's going to take and about how much money it's going to cost, and then
great.
you have to like do it. So I don't know, Tim, if you're able to find my Instagram page, but to drop that in whenever you get a chance. I totally forgot. And then Corinne, I'm coming to your comment after we hear Darcy's 3 good things, and then I'm going to end up with a song. We're going to do all that in 10 minutes. So what we had to do was called, what the heck was it? Shape thrifters. So we had to go to a thrift shop. So we went to Goodwill, and I had to pick out 3 items for Bill, and he had to pick out 3 items for me to wear. So I got him like a Bob Ross shirt that said "Good Vibes Only."
That's good.
And then like a pair of like just not really attractive swim trunks that I basically had him use as shorts, and then this like Orioles hat. And then, oh yeah, there's my Instagram page at Unmuted Life. Tim is so on it. So this was us doing this. This is me giving him these shorts and him being a good sport about it. And then he picked out for me this super cute blazer and this shirt. So this is a blazer and a shirt that a kid cut out on construction paper, that star, and taped it to the shirt, and somehow Goodwill sells it. And then we went to an escape room and we got out with 20 minutes to spare. And that was our Saturday afternoon and evening. It was so
That's
fun.
great.
Yeah, it was fun. So anyway, people are dropping theirs in the chat. But Darcy, what are some of yours? 3 good things.
My 3 good things. Yeah. Well, first of all, I am coming off a very nasty respiratory virus, non-COVID, which was amazing to me. It wasn't COVID. It felt so bad. And my husband has been taking care of me. And I've had already one meeting before our session together today. And he keeps bringing me hot water with lemon. I am so great. He is so, he's just been such a wonderful caretaker. And we have spent a lovely Saturday shopping for flowers. There's nothing that makes me happier. Now, it's a little early. I grant you, I am on the East Coast. I'm very close to you. It is currently 56 degrees. I am just rooting for the heat. We had to cover our flowers that we bought. And then we spent time planting them, digging in the dirt. So it was wonderful. It was healing.
Yeah.
Therapeutic.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well, how about, let's see here. We've got some comments. Corinne, you gave me excellent confidence to audition for a massive solo next week.
Oh, nice.
Tell us more about that. Good. Now you're having more confidence from being here. This is amazing. Snuggles from your kid yesterday. Corinne's got 4 boys. She has her hands full, to say the least. Maureen, successful bridal show for my godchild. Family time playing games. Best Chicago food that I only eat when family is in town. Chicago does have great food. It's opening day. Hopefully the Orioles won't be atrocious this year.
Is today opening?
Yes.
Oh.
Opening day home game for the Orioles, at least, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's everywhere. I don't know how it works.
I think it is opening day for everyone today.
So there's that. 20-month-old grandson slept over Saturday, and you took him to church for the first time.
Oh, nice.
Aww. And a double date. And Maureen. So Maureen is another person who stepped out in courage. She started sharing self-care tip videos. She's a massage therapist, and she started sharing these tips. And she had her 100th show on Friday, and so I went on with her.
Oh, wow!
And sang of course, did a little like "This Little Light of Mine." We did a little bit of that. It was a little "This Little Light of Mine," and we had a lot of fun. So she's been consistent and so good with that.
Great.
Just Daniel. Awesome informal talk with friends, sunshine, realization
Sunshine.
of progress on a personal pursuit, like
Mm.
hiking adventures. Let's see what else. Binge watching a silly show and laughing together. Oh, love that. So good. Like, so feel free if you're still with us and you haven't already dropped them in, drop your 3 good things there in the comments, and then I cannot believe it. We're like closing in on the end of our time, which
I know.
is
I can't believe it. We have so much more to talk about.
we have so much more. Is there anything else? So one, I want to let people know that like I can speak from personal experience that Darcy is like, as you can see here, amazing. Like
Thank you.
truly amazing and a gift and so good at what she does. And so if you're looking to want to do individual work, and I found that one-on-one work is such a game changer because you have somebody giving you direct feedback
That's right.
about things you're not even aware of that you're doing. And they
Yep.
see it. They're like your eyes and ears, literally. And then they get
Mhm.
to provide specific guidance. And I just find that growth is accelerated when you're working with somebody who knows what they're doing. So all those links are in the comments
Yep.
if you want to check out. But anything else you'd want to share about that? And then I would love to like end with a song.
Oh, we have to end with a song. No, just if someone is looking to free their voice, is if someone is looking to clear up their speech and to free their sound and to unmute themselves, I can be reached at all of these links. I work one-on-one, and I think I have 2 slots available if anybody needs me immediately.
There you
So
go.
reach
Fabulous.
out. I
Yes.
love
And it
it.
can be
I
done
really
virtually.
love
And it can be done
And I
virtually.
do it virtually. You don't even have to leave your room. It's really important to understand that I am not going to criticize you. I will only lift you up. Because we don't learn anything from criticism, do we?
No, I love the things my dad told me about criticism. Criticism is inherently destructive.
Yeah.
It's inherently constructive criticism. Constructive criticism is an oxymoron.
Yeah.
Criticism is inherently destructive. You can give constructive feedback, different than criticism. Very, very different. Like there's a safety that comes when you know someone's not going to tear you down a peg. Like when you know that someone's just like encouraging you when it goes well and like, okay, yeah, we're onto something here. And hey, let's try this. Hey, let's try this.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, oh my goodness. Like,
Look what I can do.
yeah, look what I can do. Yeah. It's so freeing. So I just want to say thank you. I'll end us with a song. And I will say that even doing this, I still can get nervous. Like I still have moments where I'm like, oh my
Sure.
gosh, like that performance mode of like, oh, Jill asked, do you work with children also?
No.
No, adults.
No, I only work with adults. And Jill, we can talk about that via email, darcy@darcywebb.com, and I can tell you more about why and maybe point you in the right direction.
There you go.
That's
Send her a message on LinkedIn or Instagram.
Yep.
She's the best. Love that. Zach says, yeah, let us
Oh,
know what the greatest gift, drop in the comments what your greatest gift was from today's experience. Thank you, Darcy, for an informative and fun session on unmuting yourself by freeing your voice. You rock.
thank you, Zach.
Oh,
Thank you.
you do rock. So I'll do a thing. And like, so what I was trying to say is like, even I can get like, I try to reframe the anxious as excited because I do get
Yeah.
excited to sing, and like, that's really what it is. And at the same time, when you're like, oh, I'm with somebody I respect so much and who has my back fully. Who has my back and is not judging me. So if you're ready for a song, drop in the comments ready. If you're ready for a song, only if I have at least like 4 people that say ready are we gonna sing the song.
I'm ready.
I
You
haven't
got
done the,
here's
well, I
one.
haven't done this one yet, like publicly. I haven't ever done this one and shared it with people. So this is a first, which feels, can feel a little vulnerable, but this is what we're talking about today. We're gonna put into action what we talked about today.
Yes.
So
Even if 4 people aren't ready.
even if
We
4 people aren't ready,
got 2 people here.
we're ready. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and do the song by Adele. When the rain is blowing in your face and the whole world is on your case, I could offer you a warm embrace to make you feel my love. When the evening shadows and the stars appear and there's no one there to dry your tears, I could hold you for 1,000,000 years to make you feel my love. I know you haven't made your mind up yet, but I will never do you wrong. I've known it from the moment that we met. No doubt in my mind where you belong. I go hungry, I go black and blue. I go crawling down the avenue. No, there's nothing that I wouldn't do to make you feel my love. The storms are raging on the rolling sea and on the highway of regret. The winds of change are blowing wild and free. You ain't seen nothing like me yet. I could make you happy, make your dreams come true. Nothing that I wouldn't do. Go to the ends of the earth for you to make you feel my love. To make you feel my love.
Oh, Rachel. I'm so proud of you and in such awe of what you've accomplished. Really, I am. Really, I am.
Thank you for being such an important part of it.
It's been an honor, and I mean that.
I love this. Well, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for everyone who's here, Maureen and Corinne and Monica and Daniel and Toby and Zach and Jill and Gwen and Keisha and Tim, producer extraordinaire. Just thank you all so much for being here. And Toby, you are so kind. Like I just here in my heart, feeling it, just in a really special place. And so thank you all for being here. Darcy, thank you for creating space for me and other people to just find our voices and to use them more boldly and joyfully and confidently. You are someone I will never, ever forget, who's been such an important part of my life and my journey with my own voice, singing and speaking. And so just so grateful. And, maybe in the future we'll do a part 2. Who knows? I mean, there's enough to go around. We'll have our own evolutions of things and be like, we need to talk about it again. Zach, nowhere else will you find this genuine, incredible experience. Oh, that's what we want to do. Like this.
No, it's true, Zach. I can't believe I'm sitting on LinkedIn Live crying.
said everyone who comes to the show at some point. It just is. And we're so excited. In the 25th, I'm going to have Claude Silver, who's the Chief Heart Officer at VaynerMedia, Gary Vaynerchuk's company. She's going to be our guest on the 25th of April. So it's just going to be awesome. And Jenny, oh, so glad you're here too. So just thank you again. Darcy, thank you again. You're a delight. Follow Darcy on Instagram and on Facebook, and connect with her on here. Follow her on here. And check out her website. We've dropped it, darcywebb.com, right in the comments. And yeah, if you want to check out again my event with Simon Sinek's team, I'm doing a Speak Up class on May 5th. I'm going to be doing one every month. So I'm going to get the first one's on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. So thank you again. Big hugs.
Big hugs.
Have a joyful rest of your week, everybody. And thank you for joining us today. Go and unmute yourself.
Bye.
Bye.